In today's video, I am sharing 7 tips to help you survive, get as close to thriving as possible in your first month postpartum, based on my experience and what I learned. I'm Lindsay Leicester and I am a new mom, and my whole thing here on the New Mom on the Block channel is to really support you and encourage and celebrate your flavor of motherhood. What I share here is my experience and my learnings, and it is not to say that it is going to be right for you, but in sharing this, I just hope that you also embrace your own experience, your own learnings, your intuitive hits, your connection with your child, your connection with your inner wisdom. So let's do this. So here we are, New Mom on the Block. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button. I think that's what they say, because I'll have new videos every single week. Let me just say that everything and nothing prepares you for postpartum. Everything and nothing. People gave me a lot of advice, a lot of watch out for this, or make sure you do this, or make sure you would avoid this. And I was kind of listening, kind of taking notes, but until you're in it, you will not understand or know what you need, what you and your child need, what your family needs. It is such a unique, powerful, transformative, intense, challenging, hard. I feel like there's like a word that isn't a word yet that describes this experience. You have just traveled to another world to retrieve the soul of your child, bring it into form here in the physical. You've done so through an emotional, spiritual, physical process, and you will never be the same. But here you are in your first month postpartum, physically just so raw, hormonally a little bit all over the place, and stepping into a new normal, a new life, a new role that it could just rock your world on so many levels. And so if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling like, what did I just do? Is this the life for me? Will this ever get better? Is this forever? All of those thoughts, feelings, and questions I had at one point or another. And I will just tell you off the bat, it does get better. You do settle into confidence and peace within this new role. It looks different for everyone, but I hope that these tips really kind of set you up to feel a bit more grounded in this first month. That would be my hope for you, just a little bit more grounded as much as you can be. So first tip, pretty simple. In advance of having your child, set up the plan for your food. Nourishment is incredibly important in first months of postpartum. Why? You are healing. You are healing a basically open wound in your uterus. You are healing perhaps some birth trauma. You're healing on so many different levels. You need the adequate nourishment to make sure that you can do that in a way that is healthy and real. So it was really important for me to think about, okay, where am I getting my meals and what are those meals? So one of the things I did was get The First 40 Days. This is a book that I can link in the notes below. But I gave this book also to my parents. My parents love to cook. If there's someone in your life that loves to cook, it is their love language. Give them this book and say, hey, would you be able to make me a few days, maybe a week's worth of meals during my postpartum period? And I am sure they would be glad to. My parents just went to town and they made a bunch of dishes from this book. So that is number one. Part 2 of setting up nourishment, you could pick a meal delivery service that delivers meals, lunches, dinners, breakfasts every single week. This can be a great gift that you can put on your registry. I love Chio. I love GoMethodology.com. I think those are my top 2. Not sponsored, but would love to. Check out meal delivery services. They're getting really good. Check out the reviews, ask around, see what people are ordering from, set those up, ask for gift certificates. And then lastly, if your partner, spouse, if your neighbors, friends could do like a meal train, that would be incredible. So set that up in advance. Do not hesitate to ask for that. Do not hesitate to ask for that. People are really racking their brains trying to think of like, how can I support them? And food for me is number one. I'm sending my friends food who have babies, like number one thing. And it's so, so helpful. Okay, tip number 2 to surviving your first month postpartum. Have a discussion with your partner prior to giving birth about the postpartum period. I want you to discuss what your desires are, how you would ideally like to feel. Listen, it is unpredictable. Lots of things happen that you just like cannot prepare for. And you also want to prepare for that too. So these conversations are really to connect you, to ground you in both of your desires, your intentions, your non-negotiables, where you feel like you'll need the most support, where you expect to have maybe a lot of anxiety. And in connecting on that level, you're able to go into this new experience with just a solid bond and commitment. And my husband and I did this. I'm definitely going to do it again with a bit more knowledge under my belt for the second child, but it was important for us to just like get really, really honest about what our fears are, what we fear that is going to happen to our relationship, like really getting everything out on the table. So then you can see it. You can understand at a high level, like, okay, wow, this person is holding these fears, these desires, these intentions for this period. I had no idea. This is really helpful. Then it can set the other person up to be the most supportive, especially your partner who is not going through this birthing process in the same way that you are. So if you can provide them with as much information as possible to support you, you're going to set yourself up for, better success in your postpartum period. So sharing your desires. So maybe you really desire a stretch of sleep, maybe 4 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep, whatever it is. And your partner could get up for the first feed. And if you're able to do that, like say you're pumping and they can give a bottle, maybe you're doing formula, they can give a bottle. If you are exclusively breastfeeding, then maybe they can bring the baby in and maybe bring the baby back and change them and put them back to bed. Figure out a way that where these desires can be supported between each other. You can also have like a safe word, a word that like you can say when you're overwhelmed. Honestly, I didn't have words. I did not have freaking words for the first few months postpartum. I was emotional. I was overwhelmed and excited. I was like all the things, and I didn't have words for a lot of things. So I would like stop mid-sentence and be like, read my mind, please. So maybe you have a word like pineapple that you can say when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you feel like you don't have the words to explain how you feel. And this word just kind of signals to your partner, hey, I would love for you to check in with me in a couple hours and ask if we can like kind of debrief about how I was feeling earlier. This will kind of help me to gather my thoughts, ground, and be able to share with you, and also feel like I have a safe space to share. So important. So this debrief before you give birth is so important. Get down to the nitty-gritty details. Be as specific as possible. Yeah, everything from the birthing process to postpartum to how you are going to handle like people visiting in the first month. Are they visiting? Is it just you three or you, however many you have in your family? Be specific. Okay, tip number 3, take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time, please. This is an initiation. You're transforming, and for you to think that you are going to do this perfectly and have all the energy in the world and excitement in the world to do this perfectly is just unrealistic. I say take it one day at a time because there are going to be parts of motherhood that stretch you to your limits. Other parts are going to feel totally natural and easy. The ones that stretch you to your limit, you got to be grateful for too, because I feel like they're just priming me, deepening my motherhood grooves just to become the mom I want to be. And one of those things is breastfeeding. Breastfeeding in the beginning was so hard. It was so challenging. It was painful. I literally had to say to myself, just get to tomorrow. Let's just do this for one more day. I still have 9 months in, I have a goal of making it to a year, maybe more. That was my goal. And at 1 month in, I was like, are you kidding me? Doing this for a year? It's a lot. It is a lot. You have to nourish yourself properly. You have to sleep properly, hydrate properly. It's painful. They have to latch properly. Sometimes you're not making milk. Sometimes you are overproducing. Sometimes you can get mastitis. There's just so much that goes into breastfeeding. I personally feel like it is so worth it, and I am committed to it, but it will test you. It will like push you to your limit. And so I really had to say to myself, take this one day at a time. And that really helped. And before you know it, we're 9 months in, and I'm like, okay, we're in our groove. And I just took it one day at a time. So anything that really pushes you to your edge and stretches you, and you're like, I don't know if I can do this. One day at a time. Just see. And you'll know if you need to, let something go or put something down and not pursue it anymore. But oftentimes I think our mind is so strong and just convinces us like, you can't do this. This is too hard. You've never pushed yourself like this. But we're made for these moments that are going to transform us. Soon it will be natural. It will be easier. Tip number 4, you are going to feel a really crazy urge to get back in the groove, to get back to your old life, to heal, to feel better, to feel normal. I don't know what to call this urge. I believe, in my experience, I've come to understand it as the identity shift itch. So I believe that we are transforming in our identity, though we will always be who we are on a soul level. Stepping into motherhood, into parenthood, requires that parts of us die. So dramatic, I know. Parts of us die. And that dying off, I don't know if you've ever had some dead skin. It's itchy. It's uncomfortable. It's annoying. And we just kind of want to get out of it. We want to moisturize. But if motherhood has taught me anything, I will say that it has taught me patience. It has taught me presence. Has taught me to not rush out of this moment. Time really does pass by so quickly. The weeks are long, the months are short, or the days are long, the weeks are short. I don't know, but one of those sayings, and it's true. I'm 9 months in and I'm like, I'm gonna have a 1-year-old in 3 months? What? There is no rush to get back into it, to get your body back, to have sex again, to feel normal. I know it is tempting, but I've come to understand it too as like a little bit of a numbing, a little bit of an escape to get back to it when really your life is asking you to be here for the moment, to be here for the transformation, to be here for this incredible miracle in front of you that is your child. So I will say, no, it's not supposed to be easy. It is not supposed to be like a field of beautiful tulips. You're going to be walking through some fires and it will pass soon enough. But try not to wish your way out of it. Try not to rush out of it because you are being worked on. You are being worked on in a divine way and you will be better for it. Okay. Tip number 5, I encourage you to incorporate routine and also randomness. What do I mean by this? You are entering into a season, especially this early postpartum period, where the days can feel like, okay, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna wake every 3 hours overnight and feed. We are going to change 12 diapers. We're gonna burp until our hand falls off. Like, it could become a little bit like monotonous in a dizzying way. I get it. I totally get it. That too will pass. But early on, whether it is you or you task your partner or friends or family with this, try to have parts of your day that are a routine, even if it's just 1 or 2 things. So say you wake up in the morning and your routine is your partner holds the baby, soothes the baby while you make your favorite cup of tea, while you take just 1 walk around the block. It's this anchor in your day that honestly really, really helped me in the beginning months. So create little anchors in your day, create that routine. Don't go overboard. Don't routine out your day. It is going to be a huge disappointment for you because having a baby is unpredictable. Spoiler. Then I want you to incorporate some randomness. And that randomness can be a random adventure. Maybe you, your partner, and baby go to get ice cream because it's July and you're super excited to have freaking ice cream. And maybe it's just like a walk down the block. You get ice cream, you come back. Don't plan it. Just be like, I want to do this. Let's do this. And also in the process, you're bringing the baby along for these moments potentially. And you gain confidence doing the things you never thought you could do when having a baby, first months postpartum. I remember my first walk outside was psychedelic. It was so overwhelming. I was so sensitive. Every sound, every smell, the colors, I was tripping without being on any substance. It was crazy. So all that to say, incorporate some randomness, a little spontaneity, because it just reminds you that like life can be that too with a baby. And I think it just gave me like a little spark of like, okay, like life will not return, but life will become a bit more, I don't want to say easy, I don't want to say like vibrant, but you will lift out of this like intense moment really soon. And I think those like spontaneous things that you do could just remind you of that. So I encourage. Okay, tip number 6, connection time with partner after the baby has arrived. I know, easier said than done. People are like, do date nights, do date nights, do date nights. I get it. We have committed to doing date nights. I would say on average, we do 2 a month, which is pretty good, I have to say. If you do 1 a month, amazing. But I would stay consistent and committed. Even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when like your schedules are bonkers, even if it's just a date in your bed and you watch your favorite show and eat your dinner in bed or something, make it happen. That connection time it's life-giving. It really is. And during this connection time, this is, I think, the meat of it, what's really important about it. Though you're tired, I know like talking about everything is probably, might feel overwhelming. But I do want you to do like a very simple check-in, maybe to start the date, maybe to end it, but it's just checking in on what's working, what's not, or said another way, what's making you feel really good, what is really challenging you, and how can I better support you? You can also add in a bonus one, which is, I want to tell you what I really loved about what you did this week or how you made me feel. So giving your partner just that love, that respect, encouragement, honoring, asking what's working and what's not, and then asking like what you can also do to support the other. So major. I know it's simple, but I look forward to these moments with my husband. Like I look forward just to being in our own little world, and we've admitted to each other, like, kind of miss sometimes when it was just us two. Do we love our son? Would we not do it any other way? Of course, but like, it could be both. It could be both. We miss the time before he was here, and we're also obsessed with him in our life now. Okay, last tip for you. I wonder if my neighbor sees me. Probably. We're starting a YouTube channel. All right, last tip, which might feel slightly repetitive, I don't know, but go really slow. I felt like I jumped back into my working life, my identity before baby, quite soon after the baby arrived. Why? We had a book to finish, so that was a deadline I had to stay committed to. But that kind of swirled me into, well, maybe I should be doing more for building New Mom on the Block and and just feeling like I needed to get back on some sort of pace. And this goes back to one of the tips, don't rush to heal or anything like that, but just go slow. This is such a sacred time that you will only go through once, maybe a few times with each child, one child, whatever you decide, and you can't get it back. You cannot get this time back. Go slow. You have your rest of your life to go fast and get on with it and do the most and be successful, be this, be that. Like, be here. Be here. Go slow. Again, you have just had probably one of the most intense spiritual, emotional, physical experiences of your life. You will never be the same physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, ever, which is kind of cool and exciting. And so just be kind, go slow, be soft, and just tend to the part that wants to get back into it. Tend to the part that wants to numb out, that wants to escape from this moment. I might be repeating myself from tip 4, but I think it bears repeating actually, and it applies to everything. Go slow. You and your partner might find yourself in a moment of like, you just stepped out of paintball session that you didn't have gear on for. You're just like, what the fuck was that? Go slow, coming back together. being kind to one another, respectful, just allowing each other to be in the process. Go slow, go slow, go slow. Your child will thank you. You will thank you. You won't regret it. You're doing great. You're doing great. These early months, especially this first month, is insane in the best way and the most challenging way. So I just give you love and grace and respect. I respect the crap. I love saying crap out of anyone that has gone through this, is going through this. I mean, I literally called and texted and emailed and messaged every mother I knew and said, oh my God, I had no idea you went through this. I am so sorry. What can I do for you now? Because it's that big of a deal. So you're doing great. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. More of this content to come, more of these conversations, these stories, these learnings. Again, I want you to just feel so empowered to embrace the type of motherhood that feels most natural, intuitive to you. And when I say natural, I know you're like, motherhood doesn't feel natural to me. Some people it doesn't. That's a part of the flavor of motherhood, right? That is a part of your specific journey and path for this. So embrace that. Embrace it. Embrace that it feels clunky. It's okay. Perfect. I promise. But stay here for it. Stay committed, focused, and just in your heart as much as possible. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you next episode.